Yo, my people, we're here, man. We're back again. We're live and direct, man. The channel is back up and running with a minor soft reboot, soft revamp, people might say, of course, because you might be thinking, right, I subscribe to Walker's Football Talk. You usually talk about football. Why is it called Let's Talk Therapy? What's going on? Some may know, some may not know. So for me, without further ado, let's get into it and let me explain to you what this YouTube channel is going to be about moving forward. So, yes, people, man, if you didn't know, I'm your guy, Welcome. Yes, my name is spelled Welcome, Welcome, and hopefully you're welcome. You are welcome to the space, no pun intended, but intended at the same time. But I am welcome. I am a trainee psychotherapist, you know what I mean, within the UK. So, what does that sort of mean? What does that sort of entail? And this is basically it. This is what my channel is going to be about moving forward. As a trainee psychotherapist in the making, I just finished my first year diploma at the CPBD school. So I've been now given some time to breathe, to exercise my freedom a bit as well, because trust me, that course had me in a chokehold, and rightly so, because with the teachings and the learning that you have to do to be a therapist in today's day and age is so important, so crucial. I'm not saying it wasn't important back then, but it's important now and more so ever, especially predominantly that the language around mental health, around therapy within different sort of groups as well is so important in today's conversation, in today's dialogue, where we talk about our friends, what we talk about, not talk about, but what we see online and so forth. Mental health has been such a big topic, and someone that's going into a profession that is very heightened with those sort of discussions is very important for me to now really use this space to really kind of be okay, what does it look like to train as a therapist in today's climate as well. We might see a therapist online that's already accredited, already done their hours, already done their placement hours or whatever, and they're talking about mental health. You may already see, an accomplished sort of therapist within, or retired therapist, but what does a trainee sort of therapist look like in today's world? So yes, I am going to be here on this channel really talking about mental health, taboo sort of conversations, reactions to certain podcasts that I'd like to listen to, or certain people that I'd like to listen to. For example, like the Winners Talking podcast. For example, like Gabriel and Sion on Chizo's channel as well. Like Chucky as well, to Jordan Peterson. Or for example, reading out Therapy Today. For example, a monthly magazine that comes through the post for me. And as you can see, I am sharing my screen, but that's something that I'll probably put on screen, probably talk about it, have a sort of conversation, and also bring the public involved as well. When I say public, you guys are really in tune to really share your thoughts and perspective on certain things. This is the channel. This is the channel where we're gonna have a safe space to have holistic sort of conversations. I am not here to be anyone's therapist, not at all. I'm talking from a perspective of my own, alongside having that perspective as, yes, I am also alongside a trainee sort of psychotherapist. And questions like, what does it take to become a trainee therapist? How much do you have to pay? What qualifications do you need to do to become a trainee sort of therapist as well? How do you sort of juggle that within your sort of lifestyle? I've said plenty of times in previous my other other channel, when I was doing my football channels, but I'll say it here as well. I am a father of two young boys myself, with my missus as well of 7 years. And how does that sort of impact the work that I do? And I think that it has major influences onto how I parent, how I view my relationships as well. It's so key and very instrumental into the world of sort of therapy. And there's no denying that you can see I am a fine young black specimen. You know what I mean? That's me bigging up myself, but yet trying to be humble. But at the same time, that plays in the factor as well. You might ask, okay, how does that play in this, a factor? But listen, within the black community, there's been such taboo, and I like to almost trying to stretch it a bit and to say I think we're starting to grow within this black culture within the UK. I think we're starting to become more aware of the words of, masculinity, therapy, mental health, certain disorders that happens taking place within our community, and how that sort of looked like, and how that sort of represented through media, through how people talk about their friends. All of those type of things will be covered under this sort of platform. Now, this was also gonna be a disclaimer video. This is also me disclaiming that the fact that I ain't no I ain't the guy to be the messiah to come and be like, oh, I am the guy that speaks about everything and anything, and he's absolutely right because I am this profession. No, I emphasize the fact that I'm a trainee sort of psychotherapist, and psychotherapist, therapist, counselor, they all, I might interchange with those different words, but they all kind of mean the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But as a trainee psychotherapist, the most important word in that is training. I am a training psychotherapist, meaning that I'm still learning, I'm still being educated. However, I'm held, and there'll be a word that I'll use a lot within this times I start doing these YouTube videos, and I'll talk the importance of that and what that sort of mean in the world of therapy. But I'm held by supervisors and tutors and placement managers that support me to make sure that okay, I'm doing the best for the client, but also at the same time helps me as well to be make sure I'm competent enough to make sure that I am making sure I do my due diligence and the duty of care for my clients. And I want to share that sort of unique perspective as well. What is it like to be a trainee sort of therapist? Those are the type of things that I wanted to sort of really bring to the table here, as well as my unique life experiences that I've managed to sort of share and go through as well. That I'm sorry, I said that other way around. It's life experiences that I'm willing to share, with you guys as well, that can sort of help or bring a sort of conversation or sort of awareness. And I think these are key words that you might hear me say: awareness, contained, held, as well as a different numbers of vocab as well that I'll be using in this channel to really emphasize what I'm saying, but also as well just to use a sort of different language even in the world of therapy. So yes, without further ado, I am sharing my screen. This is just going to be a little sort of video explaining the course that I did as well as my sort of introduction to more of this channel and where you will see me be posting and how these videos will be formed as well. I want to be very clear that, for example, what I say is I am not going to be diagnosing anyone. You know what I mean? I ain't no person to be diagnosing. That is out of bounds, and I will not do that. However, I will be open to have honest sort of conversations about everything and anything that is brought my way, and something that I'm willing to share, and things that I'm not willing to share as well. So especially when we do client work, so it's always good to talk about boundaries, and obviously as well, I want to be setting those boundaries here. And one of those boundaries I spoke about as well, to speak little about Liverpool or Arsenal winning 3-0 against Real Madrid. Those conversations surrounding football is not going to be here. So a lot of the people did subscribe me before, knowing me to do like football content. I was on Never a Foul and other streams various like that. But for me, I think football just became not really my sort of passion and stuff like that. However, this is more of my passion, where it sort of lies into something that stretches my thinking, it stretches my perspective, that I'm willing to sort of share my perspective. So of course I'll be speaking about various of topics. However, as you can see, I am a black man as well, and that has its importance within this world, and also that has its sort of preconceived ideas that I'm gonna make debunk. I may not make debunk, or I might not, but I'll also bring awareness to the forefront as well through my unique sort of lens as well. So without a further ado, this is what I'm gonna be my setup. Like, as an example, I did a presentation on black fathers within the UK that was part of my course. That will be something that I'll be willing to share here. So a lot of the times this will be our setup. Our setup here on YouTube will be having lengthy sort of discussions about whatever I'm trying to speak about within the world of therapy and more. And yeah, it will be chopped up, cut down for your TikTok platform. Of course, there'll be links in the description as well. And also, I'll take in consideration as well, as I'm talking about something that is serious, I'll put some various links as well to for anyone that is actually suffering with their mental health and is looking for somebody to call or speak to. I'll put some various links there as well. So as well as, because having these type of conversations can trigger certain emotions as well, and I have to be a bit mindful, especially speaking about certain things that I'll be speaking about. It can trigger certain emotions, and for me, just the same way that I have my duty of care of clients as well. Not saying that I'm responsible for your duty of care, but I'm being considerate enough to be like, okay, I might be speaking on things that might be very upsetting, and I want to be very, and I want to make sure not only that I speak about it, but I put out helpful resources that I can, to make sure that ensures that you can take something for yourself, and if you need be as well. So let's go into some of the things. Just now, where can I start? Boom. Let's look at, so I just finished my final weekend, 29th, 30th of March. That was like 2 weeks ago or so, or some sort as well. That was a very unfinished business, completing the circle. A lot of these things, like for example, that I'll do like a separate video and speak more about as well, and what does that sort of look like and what does that sort of mean, because but what does it mean? What does it look like for a training therapist? What does that sort of look like? What do you have to go through? What are the sort of processes that you have to go through? We always kind of, you hear therapists talk about their past experience or how they started, but what does it mean when you're in the here and now? And that's what I wanted to sort of share, that experience as well, go through this journey as well. So that's something that, especially from my unique sort of perspective as well, from the place of, well, I'm someone, you know, who's a young 29-year-old who is a father of two, who's been with his missus for what, almost, I think, 7 years or some sort. That, okay, these are things, and these are things that are very important, and these are things that can be helpful within the work when you are training as a therapist, because a lot of the times you might see clients that will invoke certain feelings, or you might be in your course, you might have a people in your cohort that might invoke some feelings. And yes, some people might be thinking, is it just feelings, talking about feelings? No, it shouldn't always be about that, because you can use therapy however you sort of want, alongside if you have that sort of therapeutic relationship with your therapist. So yeah, these are the things that I looked at over the time that I was training as a therapist. Coder's ethics of practice, establishing and maintaining boundaries. And boundaries is a very important word that I speak a lot about to clients, to myself, to even in my own personal life, having the set boundaries as well. Assessment on contracts, OPT training, online phone therapy. That was a weekend. No, sorry. Yeah, that was a weekend lesson as well. Bear in mind as well, as you can see, this was almost like my schedule. Thursdays, 6 o'clock to 9:30, all the way in North London, while going past the Arsenal Stadium as well, the Op Block. But that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, and then weekends, every month, you will be having a 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on both days. Oh la la. The day that I started this course was the day that Jurgen Klopp left. I know I said I shouldn't be talking about football, but hey ho, listen, it is what it is. But shout out to my tutor, she let us go out early, and Liverpool beat Wolves that day, 2-0 on Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp's farewell. But that was kind of cool. But of course, you might be missing certain weekends, so you know what the time was, match of the day, what's the setting. But yeah, culture and competencies as a universal practice, race and culture and ethnicity. So these are the things that you're looking at within as a trainee sort of psychotherapist. You're looking at sexuality, you're looking at gender, you're looking at eating disorders, you're looking at, funny enough, with eating disorders, I think I've got a certificate here. I think you're received. That's working with young people. That's working with trauma. I think I've got it here actually. I think you can see. Hopefully you can see. That's working with. Oh, that's working with suicide. Oh my god. Oh, working. There you go. You got working with suicide. Did I say working with suicide? I said it was working with eating disorders. But hey ho, you know what I'm trying to say here, people. So the person-centered approach, time-limited counselling, which was very helpful. So at my placement, I work alongside with the NHS, and the NHS tend to provide 6 sessions. So how does that look like? How can a client get the best out of the benefits of having 6 sessions with a therapist, compared to having a long term, where some people might be seeing their therapist for 3 months, or they might be seeing their therapist for up to 6 to a year. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that you're looking at, and these are the things that we're taking in, and information and so forth. So that is a big thing here. So as you say, introduction to CBT, psychodynamic concepts, and this is interesting as well. Psychodynamic is, a lot of people might know, is about Freud. It's coined by Freud as well. And don't get me wrong, over time I'll be doing in-depth videos on these sort of modalities. Okay, what is really psychodynamic? Is it really helpful? What do people say about it? Just sharing my sort of perspective as well, and how it's almost a bit used within the therapeutic sort of space as well. Childhood sexual abuse, and we had our student presentations as well, which was a part of our essay, where we had to write about our presentation that we did. So I did my presentation on Black fathers within the UK, and that is something that I'm willing to do in my upcoming video, to actually show you my presentation that I did when I was talking about the Black fathers within the UK. So these are the sort of things and concepts that we sort of kind of touched on within our time. Started in May 2024, finished obviously in March 2025, and tell you now, I feel so relieved. Oh my gosh, this when you're doing this type of work, there's no denying that it's very much intense. Not only that you're just learning this, you also have to be practicing. Hence why I just spoke about that. I have a placement as well, so I am working directly with clients as well, which is absolutely great. It's always nice when you're learning these type of things as well as in putting it into practice as well. When I said, for example, I'll explain over time how, for example, time limited counseling was so beneficial when I was someone like me. I always thought myself as a person that I would, a long-term therapist. I would like to have a client for over a period of time so you can build that rapport, build that relationship. But how does that work in 6 sessions? I had questions like, what if the client in the fourth session decided to bring out something and you only have like 2 sessions left to talk about things as well, especially when in time limited counseling you're looking at beginning, middles and endings and so forth. So lots of questions that I had as well, which I'll be happy to sort of discuss my sort of thought process behind it. So yeah, this was an expensive course. It's an expensive rate. Already here you're looking at £5,236. You know what I mean? That's the total course fee. And this is not including that these things here, for example, supervision, 1,100, BACP student membership, £82 per year. Do you know what I mean? Per insurance, £55 to £65 a year. You had to get insurance as well, for example. So I'm insured, and for example, just in case, it's very rare, like, you know what I mean, just in case that, a client's parents might take you to court or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You might have to go to court, so you have to pay for that, right? So hence you got sort of insurance, but that's something that rarely sort of happens. But things that you got to consider, and it's interesting that the more that I got into into this line of work as well, you kind of have that notion you have to have your back covered as well, so you have to go through the intricacies of certain things as well. So getting insurance is something that's very much important as well. Yes, hopefully I would hope that no other therapists have to ever sort of use it, but at the same time it's very important to consider, and these are the things that you have to take place. And someone could be like, £82 just to pay for something that you might not use. It still has its importance. Do you get what I'm saying? Also, personal therapy. I've there's within this course you have to have personal therapy, and I will talk about some of my personal therapy and how I've utilized that as well, and how that's been so encouraging within the line of work that I do, especially when you're dealing with such heavy material. It is very important that you have supervision and therapy, and I will explain how much over time how important supervision and therapy has been so crucial for me and so beneficial for me as a trainee sort of psychotherapist. It's been absolutely A1, not only just the teaching, but I think supervision and therapy. I spoke about it within my tutor when we had our one-to-one, that how much I benefited from having supervision and personal therapy. And how I look at personal therapy, I think I have a very unique way of how I view personal therapy. People always talk about, oh, it's just talking about your feelings. Why am I going to just talk about your feelings? I'm not here to say that this is how you should use therapy. However, I will share my unique sort of perspective on therapy as well. So excuse me. So I was on the first day cohort as well, so that I was making this sort of payments as well. 12 monthly payments of 451, so it was broken down. So of course you might say some people were willing to pay these things up front as well. You could have. I didn't have that money, not at all. So this money, 451 and 25p, was a lot of money, but reasonable money that you sort of pay as well. That's the cool deal. You know what I mean? That's a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? And this is sometimes, and this goes to the conversation when I looked around in my course and I was like, only black male in my course. I was thinking, rah, how many black brothers or how many black people? Don't get me wrong, there was another black lady on my course as well, but she was much later within it, in a sort of career as well, career change, wanted to do something different, and she was kind of well versed. She had a few businesses and stuff like that, and so forth. But for me, like, let's just keep it a buck. Like, a brother like me, there was no other brother like me when I did my psychodynamic training. When I did when I did that at Birkbeck University, there ain't no brother like me. When I did this course, there weren't brother like me. Do you get what I'm saying? And it was me and one other male. And I think there was how many people was in our cohort? So we had, I think, 8, 2 left, and there was only two. There was only one other male. I was the only male. So that speaks on, okay, male being therapist. You know what I mean? Black people being therapists, Do you know what I'm saying? So you have to look at these type of things and say, okay, why is that not the case? Is it not affordable? Some people might look at that and be like, wow, I'm not paying for that. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes, I could do a psychology degree maybe, but to go and ahead and pay that, if you're not in a privileged situation where you can probably afford that or to do that, then of course you might be like, no, I ain't gonna do that as well. And these are things that I do sort of consider as well, and I'll talk in depth more as well about that as well. And even then, supervision was something that I paid £55. So it's not 1,100. I think that's probably throughout the year. But yeah, you said for your information, additional fees during the year. So for example, I paid £55 for my supervision as well. So, and in your placement, you don't get paid for this. You know, this is a job that you do not get paid for. As well while you're training as well. Even if your placement did say they were willing to pay you, you would, for example, speak to your course your tutor and probably the director of saying that, yeah, and they're adamant and saying that you do not get paid for this as well. Should that be changed? Maybe. I think that's sort of that, how can you pay, especially in the in a time that we live in now with the living cost and everything just being so expensive, bro. I'm not gonna cap it and be very transparent, bro. We was breaking our banks just for me to pay for this. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit here and say to you that I could afford that. Even this 451 at a time. I will talk about my also like how my job sort of interfered, especially this year. Like I left working in a school for 2 years because I thought that the emotional sort of baggage of taking on working in the school when you're so attached with the kids, you're attached with the school, you're attached with the teachers, and some of them become more of your friends and so forth. Alongside doing a course that is this heavy, I thought I would detach myself to realize that once I got out into the when I got into the world and I started doing agency, because I felt it was much more feasible for me to do that as well as doing my course, bro. Getting paid weekly to pay this was difficult. Yeah, this is my CPPD school as well. This is our courses. This is, and I'll explain to you my course that I did, diploma in humanistic integrative counseling. So this is what I did. So I'll do this and I'll wrap it up, and then over time we will start talking about more in depth about everything as well. But bear in mind, this is just more of an introduction. This is just more of me. This is a course that really worked for me as well. I really enjoyed this course. I can't remember how I found it, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, anyways, the training will be 70% face-to-face and 30% online via Zoom. So we had obviously a few Zoom lessons as well, some of them on for the weekend classes and some of them for our Thursday evening. As required by the BACP, that's a body. Even though I don't really still understand what BACP really is, you know what I mean? There's some sort of, people still talk about, the BACPs. Like for example, once I finish the advanced year as well that I'm looking to do this year, once that's completed, you're qualified as a counselor. But for you to be qualified, you kind of have to go under the BACP. So you have to accrue more hours to say you're qualified, even though you already are. It gets a bit sketchy, but don't quote me on that because I might be wrong as well. So in order to undertake this training, the condition of participation require you to make the necessary time commitment for the course for all your online sessions. Going about us, I think that will start us better. So they have a counselling service, our school as well. So some people could do their placement there as well. So I knew a few people in my cohort who did their placement there as well. I didn't do my placement there. So I managed to find a placement that was local within my own borough, which was very helpful because a lot of the other placements that they had was far, bro. Like this place was already in North, and that was already far from where I was, bro. And for the other placements, and imagine as well, like let's say you have a placement that's all the way in like Northwest, bro. Imagine going there and then finding out your client said that they're not coming in or something happened and they're not. Bro, imagine traveling, paying money, especially like I said, you do not get paid for any of these type of things. A lot of the money is going out. There's, you know what I mean, for however I was earning, bro. I was making ends meet with me and my missus, chopping it up, talking about our finances to make sure that we was able to pay for what we had for our kids and as well as for this course. You know what I mean? Of course, it will pay its dividends much later on, but even then, not put money aside, the work that I do is I'm very passionate about. This is something that's very important for me. will later explain as well how I got into therapy as well. But at the same time, this is something that is really much embedded for me. So sometimes, a lot of the times, which I'm very grateful for, that I even forgot how much it was, because how much I really enjoyed my whole experience learning and receiving the teachings, as well as being part of a placement where I'm lucky to have a very good support network there as well, a very good placement manager, a very good other trainee counselors that are there, other counselors that are there that can support you as well. So CPPT is one of the UK's leading humanistic integrative counselling training schools, offering tuition responsive to the needs of each individual student. We value every student's existing life experience and skills in a friendly and creative learning environment. Our course runs in the evening and at weekends, with intakes in spring and autumn. Also, all provided flexibility for those in employment or with busy family lives who want to train in counselling. I just wanted to say thank you for, if you've managed to be at the end of this video, thank you for tuning in. Please leave a like, share, subscribe, and please, the important that I'm trying to really emphasize is the work. It's not necessarily me as a personality, it's none of that. It's really about the work that I sort of do, because I think in this landscape of society that we live in, mental health is such a big sort of discussion, and mental health affects all types of people as well. So I'm from a unique sort of world that I'm coming into, that I'm going to bring in my sort of perspective and my sort of nuance of conversations that we'll be having as well. And I'm just willing for you to be part of that as well, to really spread the work that I sort of do as well, because this speaks larger to a massive work that a lot of other therapists, counselors, and people that work within mental health sort of do as well. So yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, people. Thank you very much if you've managed to be at the end of this video. Please try to push it out as well. I will bite-size these videos and make sure they will be uploaded on TikTok. Please go on my channel. You'll see on the links there as well. So yeah, people, catch you in a bit.